All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're looking at what is essentially a master architectural blueprint for the aging male body. We call it the ELAR nutrition framework. Now look, this isn't just about stubbornly adding a few extra years to the clock. It's about aggressive, preventative maintenance. We're talking about extending your actual health span, preserving your hard-earned muscle, and keeping your mind razor sharp. So, it brings up a question we all eventually have to face, right? What is the true dietary cost of getting older? Because as we age, our body's architectural needs drastically shift. But here's the really good news. You can build absolutely incredible muscular and cognitive resilience without resorting to those miserable, overly restrictive diets. Instead, we are going to map out a highly structured, evidence-aligned framework that acts as your rock-solid daily foundation. Okay, here's our game plan for today. We'll map out the longevity blueprint, defend your vascular health, cover muscle preservation, establish a clear nutritional hierarchy, defeat ultra-processed foods, and finally, look at supplemental optimization. Let's build this from the ground up. Starting with Section 1, the ELAR Longevity Blueprint, because every great structure needs a foundation. This entire blueprint relies on a few non-negotiable pillars. We are aggressively swapping out saturated fats for high-quality unsaturated fats, and we're anchoring your daily plate with nutrient-dense, minimally processed whole foods. Think legumes, intact whole grains, a massive variety of vegetables and fruits, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish. These aren't just foods, they are literally the bricks and mortar of your health span. Moving right along into the walls of our structure, Section 2, Vascular Health and ApoB. Your cardiovascular defense system is absolutely paramount here. And the crucial biochemical point you need to understand is that ApoB isn't just some passive warning sign floating around in your blood. No, these ApoB-containing particles, particularly LDL, are the actual culprits. They are the ones physically crashing into your arterial walls, getting stuck and initiating that whole inflammatory plaque buildup. So, aggressively lowering ApoB, that is exactly how you keep the plumbing clear. Now, vascular health also comes down to your electrical system, specifically your sodium to potassium ratio. Honestly, you'd be shocked by how much industrial sodium is hiding in so-called healthy commercial soups or deli meats. But instead of just obsessing over cutting salt, let's flip the script. Shift your focus to eating way more potassium-rich foods. I'm talking potatoes, lentils, spinach, bananas, salmon, yogurt. By prioritizing these, you naturally just crowd out all that industrial sodium hiding in highly processed meals. All right, now for the framework that actually keeps you moving. Section 3, Muscle Preservation and Fuel. Let's map out the metabolic fuel required to maintain your physical strength. We want to target a moderate carbohydrate intake, roughly 45 to 50% of your calories. But listen, quality beats quantity every single time. To keep your blood sugar perfectly stable, you want to prioritize intact, high-fiber whole grains like barley, oats, and legumes over those refined processed carbs. And for muscle, this number right here is absolutely critical, 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. Hitting this target actively combats sarcopenia, which is that age-related muscle loss we want to avoid. It also safely manages mTOR. You can think of mTOR as your body's master growth switch. We want to keep it active enough to maintain our muscle, but without triggering the chronic excess that totally dysregulates your metabolism. Zooming out a bit, older adults simply require more protein, period. We're looking at roughly 1.0 to 1.4 grams per kilogram of body weight every day. So for most guys over 65, that translates to about 75 to 95 grams daily. The trick is to distribute this evenly across your meals to preserve your strength and keep your functional independence intact. So, what does this actually look like on your plate? Let's hit Section 4, the nutritional hierarchy. Think of this as your practical, evidence-aligned grocery guide. The hierarchy of protein is pretty clear-cut. Fatty fish, legumes, and soy, strongly encouraged. Lean poultry, encouraged. Unprocessed red meat and eggs, keep them moderate. Processed meats, minimize them as much as humanly possible. And hey, remember, a baked chicken breast is an entirely different biological entity than a deep-fried, high-sodium fast food nugget. Preparation is half the battle here. We also want to use bioactive whole foods to actively optimize our metabolism. Legumes, they're your cardiometabolic anchor. Intact cereals like barley and oats give you that structural fiber. Fatty fish is your absolute longevity source. Veggies and fruits act as your antioxidant shield. And seeds like hemp, chia, and pumpkin, those are your multi-systemic modulators. Next up, Section 5,
Defeating ultra-processed foods.
This is honestly the primary threat to everything we've just built. Ultra-processed foods, or UPFs, are uniquely destructive. They are strongly linked to cardiometabolic disease, frailty, and mortality. We are talking about hyperpalatable industrial science projects full of emulsifiers and refined additives. And sure, this includes the obvious junk like commercial ice cream. But the real trap? The items aggressively marketed to us as healthy, like low-fat flavored yogurts or sugary protein bars. Those are essentially just candy in disguise.
So the practical ELR strategy to fight this is super simple. Rapid fire, this not that swaps. Ditch the hyperpalatable, sugary commercial cereals and swap in intact oats. Maybe throw together some overnight oats or a bowl of oat bran.
And you can apply this logic everywhere. Swap highly processed instant noodles for a rich, hearty lentil soup. Trade those weird processed fish sticks for a real, actual cut of grilled salmon. And please, instead of drowning your food in industrial commercial sauces, wake up your palate with real flavor. Use garlic, herbs, spices, vinegar, and lemon juice.
Seriously, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer today, remember this golden rule. Prefer foods that still resemble their original biological form and have a relatively short, recognizable ingredient list. That right there is your ultimate litmus test in the grocery aisle.
All right, final piece of the puzzle. Section 6, Supplemental Optimization.
Time to add the finishing touches. But before we list anything, we need a strict reality check. Supplements are secondary adjuncts. They are metabolic modulators. They absolutely cannot and will not substitute for the dietary and lifestyle foundation we just spent all this time building. You can't out-supplement a bad diet.
That said, if your foundation is solid, here is the targeted stack. Berberine, about 500 milligrams daily to activate AMPK, which is kind of like your cellular fuel gauge. HMB, about 3 grams to help prevent muscle breakdown. Creatine monohydrate, 3 to 5 grams a day, which is amazing for preserving strength. Vitamin D3 plus K2 for bone integrity. Magnesium for your nerves and muscles. Boron to help free up bound testosterone. And a custom shake blending whey, plant protein, and a touch of healthy oil.
Put it all together, and here is your daily target for a roughly 2,000 calorie day. You want less than 7% of your calories coming from saturated fat, 10 to 25 grams of soluble fiber, and 9+ servings of polyphenols. Oh, and keep dietary cholesterol under 200 milligrams while aiming for about 2 grams of plant sterols. But remember, this whole nutrition blueprint only reaches its true full potential when you combine it with regular resistance training, rock-solid sleep, and staying socially engaged.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one thought. Look at the architecture we've discussed today. The ApoB defense, the clear protein targets, the whole food swaps. How are you going to build your personal longevity blueprint starting today? The tools and the science? Well, they're right here in your hands. But the actual construction? That is entirely up to you. Until next time, keep learning and keep building.